Howdy, 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 and welcome to the Ample Amputee. I am your host, or at least one half of your hosting team, Mr. Q, and Chef T maybe be joining us a little bit later. I thought she'd be here by now, but that's all right. Happy 420 to all you guys out there listening, doing what you do, I hope, having a good time. Of course, I'm here in beautiful Southern California, the beautiful city of 29 Palms. And as you know, it's all legal here, boys and girls. So enjoy. That's why I'm going to leave that at that. All right. So hope everyone's week has been going fine. It's the next to the last Wednesday here during National Limb Loss Awareness Month. And so I hope that you amputees out there and your family members are celebrating the incredible gift of life and the incredible opportunity that we have here in our great nation. There's so many people, as we're going to talk a little bit about later on tonight, around the world that aren't half as blessed as we are here in this nation. If you need a prosthetic here, you usually can finagle your way and get one with not too much issue. But you know, around the world, it's a whole different story. And part of my philosophy is reaching out and helping our brothers and sisters all around this world, our amputee brothers and sisters, to get the opportunity to live a rich and rewarding life that a proper fitting prosthesis can provide. 1 second, I guess I better turn that music off. Hey, Google, decrease volume to 20%. I don't want them blocking this thing here. And so it's so important, guys. You know, oftentimes on our show, we do talk about, Mr. Q ain't about no self-pity. Mr. Q ain't about no weeping and a crying about what you can or can't do and how you not having a leg keeping you from the love you want, the career you want, the life that you want. That's all bull. You need to go on out there. Let's get some motivation and let's get it. Because like I say, a whole lot of other places around the world, man, you ain't got no social system to help you. You're on your own. You're relying on the kindness of strangers, of family, and of people that care, even if they ain't never met you before. Okay? And that's part of the beauty that makes this world go around. Amen. Amen. All right. So tonight, like I was saying, we got a great show here tonight for you. I'm calling it Passing It Forward. And we're going to meet the members of a company that give prosthetics and amputees a second life. Okay. And so tonight we're going to be meeting the officers of Passing It Forward. All right. So let me take that thing on off there and start bringing these folks in. Okay. So first we have with us, we have Mr. Henry Iseman. We have Mija Strong. And we have Miss Anna. I forgot during our post interview to say your name, but I am a man of words, so I'm going to give it a shot. Szczepanek.
That's a valid attempt.
Szczepanek.
Closer. I'll help you out though. It's Szczepanek.
Szczepanek. Oh.
Yeah. Don't ask where you get the STR sound. I don't even know.
Yeah. That sounds like perhaps a definitely Eastern European. Maybe I want to say Polish, but it sounds a bit more Czechoslovakian.
Nope.
It's Polish? There you go.
Polish.
Okay, yeah. Lady work for me is Polish, so I kind of know those names. Yeah, she works for me, Miss Nancy. Okay, anyway. Yeah. So I'm gonna call you Anna. I'm gonna call everybody by their first name there, unless you object, and then we'll change that. But let me tell you, audience, a little bit about these folks that we have here. And I'm gonna start running these tickers on down at the bottom of the screen. Is that showing? Oh yeah, there you go. All right. So now we have first with us Mr. Henry Iseman. Henry. Henry has experience working with amputee groups in the United States, particularly with veterans of U.S. explosive ordnance disposal units. That's the guys that get rid of those bombs, folks. Having conducted research on post-traumatic stress disorder, I was talking to my buddy about that today. He's a veteran, and we were talking about his PTSD and what he deals with, PSTD, and seeing firsthand the benefit that amputees, the benefit that amputees receive from proper medical care, support groups, and efforts to destigmatize limb disability. Henry is interested in bringing the same care he has seen for amputees in the U.S. to Vietnam. Henry is PENTA's executive director, providing strategic leadership for the organization, as well as heading its fundraising efforts. Mr. Henry Iseman, how are you, sir?
I'm great. Thank you for having me on.
All right, all right. Next, we have Henry's associate here, Miss Anna. Now, Miss Anna joins the PENTA Medical Recycling team as the newly appointed deputy director with over 8 years of nonprofit management and global health experience. Anna has worked extensively in helping develop and execute programs involving access to medical and healthcare services in underserved communities around the world. She aims to apply her knowledge and skills at PENTA to help guide the organization's next phase of growth. She holds a Master's of Science in Global Affairs from the New York University Center for Global Affairs, where she concentrated in international development. Miss Anna?
Hi. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, my pleasure. And now, finally, we have Mijamin. Mija was born and grew up overseas. He lived in Bangladesh, Ethiopia, Kenya, and Uganda before moving to the United States for university. He has a bachelor's degree in construction management and a master's degree in global management from the Thunderbird School of Global Management. He has 4 years of construction project management experience, as well as business consulting experience from his work assisting a local food distribution company in Colombia during his time in Thunderbird. He has a passion for helping others in international travel, culture, and cuisine. Mija is PENTA's Director of Operations, providing oversight and direction on PENTA's warehouse inventory and supply chain operations. Thank you, Mija, for having us.
Yeah.
Mija is the guy that kind of kicked this off. He was my first contact with the company, and I had always calling and reading and trying to identify different organizations that are doing things not only in our country but throughout the world. I came across this organization, and for a variety of reasons was immediately interested in what they were doing. So Henry, I'm going to start with you. Well, first of all, this is a general question. Are any of you amputees?
No, I'm sorry.
No.
Okay. Do you, Henry, and each one can take a turn answering this question if it's appropriate. What started this for you? Because I'm going to be honest. I became an amputee in 2018, February 10th, to be exact. I didn't know any amputees. This was a whole world, new world for me. What got you even thinking about this? I know that you started this when you were in college, you and another buddy of yours. Tell me a little bit about that story.
Sure. So you actually already told a little bit of that story in my bio, which was quite some time ago when I had worked with veterans from EOD units who had, and there was a lot of limb loss in that community, of course. And I saw people go through the process of moving out of their hospital beds, having just woken up recently, realizing that they had lost limbs, and find themselves, in therapy, and eventually using equipment that could allow them to regain mobility, and eventually in the gym, with their buddies. And I was seeing them suddenly take on kind of a, such a different and more positive attitude, and speaking about all they were going to be doing, that weekend, going on a hiking trip, outfitting their bike or their car so they could go drifting, or X biking, and you could just see. I mean, I could see it seemed almost magical, but of course it wasn't. It's just amazing technology and science that's created these incredible equipment that can really give people the mobility necessary to really live life to the fullest, feel like a member of their communities, and do the things that they love. And so that was just a striking moment for me, an experience that stayed with me. And later on, when I was in another point in college, a roommate of mine and his girlfriend, who had grown up in Vietnam and grew up seeing the difficulty of access to prosthetic care and healthcare in general in her community and her own family, they wanted to do a kind of healthcare social venture. And we started working together with my experience as well, having seen the use of these prosthetic limbs and worked with amputees. We started doing research and just saw what we found to be really astounding numbers. Hundreds of thousands of prosthetic limbs being replaced annually in the US, the vast majority of them being ultimately discarded, or, as I'm sure a lot of the people watching the show know, collecting dust in attics, closets, garages, or the back offices of prosthetic clinics. And at the same time, there are millions of people around the world, over 60 million people living with limb loss, and about 85 to 95% of them, says the World Health Organization, can't afford or access healthcare and prosthetic care. So there's a huge disconnect. And we just thought it seemed like an obvious solution that no one was able to tap into a really valuable resource here. This, for the most part, very functional equipment with years left of its lifespan, and create a logistical bridge to get it to the people who forget about the cost of a prosthetic leg, which are tremendously expensive, but sometimes can't even afford a bus ticket to the nearest healthcare facility. Right. So that was really that was the story behind how we started. It was a service team, and as we continued to have success with what we were doing, seeing that we were changing lives, hearing from the process we were working with, how much it helped them to provide better care and reduce costs for their patients, we knew it had to continue. So when graduation came, we incorporated the organization. I felt passionate about continuing PENTA, turning it into a larger operation. We were just working in Vietnam at the time. And now here we are 4 years later. We've grown to 16 different countries that we're working in across the world. Brought on professional staff like Anna and Maja, who've been wonderful additions to the team, and built a really amazing group of limb donors from across the amputee community, from the O&P professional community, and manufacturers as well. So it's been an amazing journey, and it seems like a long time ago, but it's actually been quite a whirlwind in a short few years.
Goes very quickly. Yes, I have a few different questions I'm going to be asking you, but first let me go on to now. I believe, if I read correctly, Anna, you're the newest member of the team, correct?
Myself and Maja started at around the same time, July of last year. Yes. So we've been around for about 8 months. Sorry about the honking here.
Oh, don't worry, I got dogs barking in the back. Now, what's been your passion?
Whirlwind of an 8 months. Henry thinks that the last 4 years for him have been busy. It's been a very, very interesting experience for me to learn about PENTA's operations and work on this side. So it's really been a wonderful experience.
Had you worked with amputees prior to your position now?
No, I had not.
What encouraged, because what I was trying to communicate earlier, that as a two-legged person, I realized I didn't see amputees until I became one. So
Sure, I'm happy to tell you. So my experiences professionally up until my point in joining PENTA were mostly in doing medical missions in low and middle income countries, and being able to travel the world and see the lack of infrastructure in some parts of the world was really astonishing. Really basic services were oftentimes missing. Clinics were completely run down, sometimes not even having electricity, much less, being able to render real assistance. And to me, there were just simple solutions to real life problems. Like I worked a lot with doctors who treated cataracts, and a cataract surgery is a 15-minute procedure, and suddenly you can see again if you have cataract-induced blindness. So for me, reading about PENTA and realizing that in a lot of places around the world, people just simply did not have access to a seemingly simple solution of getting a prosthetic limb was just astounding to me. And the fact that we had this resource here in the US readily available, but we couldn't really reuse it as people upgraded their equipment, and just, due to liability, just were not able to pass it along and help other people. To me, it just seemed so obvious. And I really resonated with the work that Henry was doing with PENTA, realizing that just like the cataract surgery, that's 20 minutes, outfitting someone with a prosthetic limb really was able to change someone's life, not only physically. This person, yes, could walk, but that in a lot of cases meant that that person could return to work, could return to school, could earn for his or her family, could be reintegrated into their communities, because oftentimes stigma is a big issue that amputees face around the world. And then on top of all of that, what struck me was also the environmental part of what PENTA is doing, which is diverting what would actually be medical here in the US. So to me, it was like a win-win, and I just felt really strongly about PENTA's work, and here I am.
And Maija, what about you? What drew you to this mission of your company?
Yeah, so I confess I'm not an amputee. I wasn't as familiar with the amputee world or community before joining PENTA, but I really wanted to work for an organization where I can utilize my project management and operation background, and where my work would have, direct, tangible impact with people around the world. And I wanted to work for an organization that was having a global impact. And I came across PENTA, and the more I looked into it, when I was applying, I was just in awe about the obvious need that there was, and how the process could, like Anna was saying, both be beneficial to the environment and diverting waste, but also to helping people around the world get access to this care. And a really powerful thing, that we believe in, is that mobility is a human right that everybody deserves access to. And it's just such an honor to be able to work for this organization where every single limb that we are able to rescue from here in the US is going on to give somebody that gift in the world who wouldn't have had it before.
Yeah. You guys hit on so many wonderful points there. First of all, it is a tragedy within our country because, I've seen some of the amputees like down in, what they call that area, like the homeless area of Los Angeles. And we do have some amputees that are former veterans whom the cycles of life have made them and without a roof over their head, or more importantly, an address so that they can access the materials that they're entitled to from the Veterans Administration to get ambulatory. Okay. But some of these guys got into that wheelchair and never got out. They never got out. And then you compound that with PTSD, then, as Henry would certainly vouch, the problems can very quickly compound, and you find yourself in a very desperate, situation. Well, the first thing I want to talk about, and I think it's a shame that we're unable within our country really to take that medical waste and utilize it to encourage some other folks, that really need it. And for whatever reasons, they don't have that prosthetic. Tell me about what do you guys collect exactly? I'll go to Henry. Tell me a little bit about what you collect. What parts are the most essential, or tell me how that process works.
Sure, absolutely. So we collect prosthetic and orthotic equipment. For the vast majority of what we collect is prosthetic limbs, lower extremity devices. We collect, all of the feet, pylons, the knees, the modular components that help put it all together, all of that kind of hardware that are standard, different sizes that we can break down easily. That is the majority of what we're sending around the world. We do take apart, the sockets often come attached. Clinicians that donate sometimes remove them, but we still get them. That can't really be, it can't be remolded to someone. That's been custom fit to someone's residual limb, exactly for them. And it's not like someone can just start using, and it's a very low chance that combination of foot size and the level of amputation is going to be a perfect fit for someone. So we're taking it apart. And in those sockets, though, you do have valuable equipment that might seem quite standard here, but where we're working around the world is extremely expensive and very difficult to find. Things like a locking pin liner and a shuttle lock system, or a sealing liner, or a vacuum in a socket. And so those small equipment, we'll take those out of the socket if we can, and we send those along as well. We also get lots of liners, often still packaged, unused, of all different types, and prosthetic socks as well. And those, another thing, that the socks, we get so many of, it's clear it's something that people have, sometimes by the box load in their houses. But something that's very hard to get, and to have even, one pair is a luxury. Where we're sending, and so to be able to send a lot of them is great. And because parts of our warehouse are overflowing with those socks. And then, of course, with orthotic limbs as well, orthotic braces, you have the same problem with the customization of fit, the contours of people's body and their limbs. So certain kind of more standard off-the-shelf pieces, ankle foot orthotics, standard AFO, that we can absolutely use, and we get those. We receive those by the hundreds, still in the packaging, unused. A company that has slightly changed the product, the model, and they pulled the older models from their catalog, and all of those products in the warehouse, can't be used. They don't want to sell them, and so we're lucky to build relationships where they're now donating them to us. We sent actually a few hundred of those very recently to Ukraine to be used as as splints and limb stabilizers for people with a traumatic injury, which isn't usually what Penta does, but in a time of crisis like this, we have equipment that people on the ground said can help, and so that's kind of the range of what we get. Really, that kind of mobility assistive equipment, prosthetic and orthotic. Some people do send upper extremity pieces too. The difficulty is, in many of the countries where we're working, the training is not really there to work with the more advanced technology that
that's okay.
This with with prosthetic arms, and so most of what people will use will be very simple mechanical equipment, which we just don't get that much of, or a prosthetic arm that is not really functional in terms of
more cosmetic,
but kind of an aesthetic piece, and those people will often abandon because it ends up just being and especially if they're doing labor or so, it's very difficult to keep. So I'd say more than 95% of the equipment we're sending is lower extremity.
Understood. So you identify, for example, a clinic. Well, what was the first country that you guys went into first? And then I have a follow-up.
So we started in Vietnam. One of my co-founders, Trang Duong, is Vietnamese, and so she grew up there. We started in Ho Chi Minh City, working through the major orthopedic hospital there, and that was a great relationship. And we kind of developed the model through that. We then started working in Thailand. We thought we might continue to grow within Southeast Asia only, but then as we continued, the need is everywhere.
Everywhere.
There are amputees all around the world, and in the vast majority of the world, as I said earlier, they're very inaccessible. So
I just got a letter literally last night. These folks have been on me for a while in Bangladesh. They're a cricket team and they're amputees. And they're just like, Mr. Q, we hear you do some good stuff. Please come over to Bangladesh and help, and the need is real, folks. The need is real. Not ignoring the need that we have in our country. I'm not doing that. But I'm saying that, I often find reward when we look a little bit beyond ourselves and put a little focus on what we can do to help others. And that blessing comes back 100-fold, man, Miss Anna, once you guys, as the fundraising kind of entity of the arm, what is the process that you go through to collect the materials? Henry spoke a little bit about those relationships. Tell us about some of the organizations that you have relationships with and how they help your cause. Who are some of the organizations that you guys are working with?
Well, there's a lot of directions that our relationship goes in. On the domestic side, we have donations of equipment and supplies coming in from individuals, clinics, and as Henry mentioned, some manufacturers, which have been very, very important. The influx of donations from all of these levels, from individuals all the way up to manufacturers, is near constant. We reach out in every single way possible, whether that's through word of mouth, social media posts, calling directly to clinics, and doing collections that way, and really just getting the word out. More than anything, we want to be a resource to amputees in the country and just let them know that we are here. We are able to do really, really wonderful things with this excess equipment, this equipment that's in their closets, in their attics. And so that has been really the main way that we've been getting donations and forming the relationships on the donor side. The relationships we have on the receiving end, we have relationships on many different levels. They range from small, local, rural clinics, which are in some cases one of the only places, if not the only place, rendering P&O care in the entire country, which is the case in Bolivia and in Dominican Republic. One place. Mm-hmm. And that goes all the way up to major hospitals that have a P&O department. And we partner with those departments, such as in India, CMC Vellore. It's a very, very well known. And that just speaks to the flexibility we have as an organization and the kind of places we are able to work with and the kind of partners we are able to have. We're able to respond, within a week to package up several boxes of and orthopedic equipment to Ukraine because we saw a call for equipment to go out to Ukraine, and we responded. We get cold calls and emails, messages on our social media, our email inbox, calls on our telephone line all the time, asking for partnership with us, and we're just trying to keep up. It's a very fine balance with balancing the equipment coming in and the equipment going out, and making sure like the inflow and outflow is comparable.
Right. You keep your stocks supplied.
Yeah, with an expanded team, I feel like we've been doing really well over these last couple of months. Prior to joining, it wasn't until after I joined that I was able to really appreciate all of the work that Henry did nearly on his own. He did have, a couple of part-time staff, but I'm still, very much so in awe that he was able to do a lot of this work solo for a while without Maja and myself. And it's really been a joy to be able to expand, get into more countries, make new relationships on both ends, the donor side and the recipient side. So.
Right. Now, Nigel, she brought up a great point, and Henry talked about it a little bit. Where do you guys keep all this stuff, and how do you get it from here to where it's going?
Yeah, so right now we have a warehouse in New York City. We have a couple of self-storage units right next to each other that we use. One side is for collecting and receiving, and the other side is for storing everything in stocks. We've got some shelves up in there with boxes with all the different components in them. And yeah, I mean, just to speak to what my colleagues have said, we've really been growing this year. We've already received 66 donations inbound. So we recently had to open up another smaller unit within the same building just to keep up. So our hands are very busy, which is a really good for us. And again, we can't do this without the support from the entire community, especially all of the individuals who are donating to us. We really can't thank everyone enough.
That's awesome. Yes, please, Anna.
We were one of the last times we were in the warehouse together. I think it was early April. We actually logged, because Maja, he can speak to this a bit more, but we log every single component. We're in there, we're taking apart everything, and we label and log every single component down to the pyramid adapter. And we were in the warehouse logging components, and I looked down at the number and I was like, wow, we just logged our 1,000th component for the year. So that's,
wow, that's
3
amazing.
months to 2022, and here we are logging 1,000 components. So that just speaks to the volume.
Especially, it was also, and I'll say last in the whole year, we sent a bit over 1,200 components. So but now in April, we have reached, almost that amount is really great, because it just speaks to the fact that we are managing to reach more people who are recurring donors of limbs, of equipment that they're collecting, that we're getting members of the community organizing limb drives, and really realizing the effect that they can have to turn people's life around and give them a second chance in places where there's and there are a lot of problems, of course, but even fewer resources for people to use when they are living with limb loss. So it's been amazing to see that growth, year over year, and partially, as I said before, the help of Anna and Maja really, expanding what we're doing, allowing us to break down every piece of equipment, inventory them. You were asking about the system we use. Maja's built an incredible online inventory system to track every single piece, where it's going, what stage in the shipping process it's in, so that we can tell people where their equipment's going.
That's great. Yeah.
That they're helping. And eventually it's our hope that we can tell every person donating exactly the person who received it and a bit about their story. The equipment we receive, we ship overseas. It's received by our partner organizations on the ground that Anna was mentioning. We never wanted to start our own clinics or build our own facilities, which requires, of course, a lot of time, money, and effort, when there are groups right there, like Anna said, there's one provider of care in a certain country, and they just need the resource. They just need the equipment to provide to people. They don't need, someone else building something down the road, when the money we're raising should be put towards getting the equipment in the hands of people who can fit it and already have the patient list.
Right. I bet some of our audience will be thinking, well, over in Southeast Asia, for example, they make everything. You mean to tell me they don't have the little parts to configure these legs? Why do you think, in your experience, that might be the case? So, for example, Vietnam is a developed country and a developed nation. I think what's the problem there?
So when we speak with the partners on the ground, the prosthetists that we're working with, they've explained, this was one of the first things we heard when we were getting started and we were trying to see if this idea could work, was that a lot of them are providing care on a kind of pay what you can basis with patients. So if people are able to afford any part of their treatment, they will, and a lot of people choose to do so as a point of pride. They've been working towards that. Even if care can be given free, they've worked to raise the money for it and they want to contribute. But the hospital will often be spending money on the other side to purchase the equipment, source it, and fit it at their own expense. So they're purchasing equipment and prescribing kind of cheaper made alternatives produced in other parts of the country that aren't the brands that people in the US are familiar with, Autobach and Oser and College Park and Proteor, these big major companies. There are other ones, and according to them, that equipment is just not as durable, not as good quality, doesn't last as long.
Okay.
It is cheaper, but not that much. It's a fraction.
Yeah.
But it still adds up substantially when you're fitting hundreds of people. By comparison, and one of the reasons they want to work with us and we've been able to build sustained relationship is for the price of, for a fraction of cost of building one leg alternative equipment, they could spend $1,000 and reimbursing us for the logistical cost of getting a pallet of equipment to them with hundreds of pieces, and each one of those pieces is built a better quality from those companies I mentioned, sometimes used for a day. Sometimes not even. Sometimes it's a return item.
Yeah.
Someone got, the process couldn't figure out how to use it, or it couldn't be fitted to the equipment they had, and it's a perfect condition. So they'd much rather pay tiny amount to get all of that equipment
shipped over.
And so it's allowed some of those groups. They told us to restructure some of their budgeting, spend more in other departments because they're getting it able to get it at such a lower cost. Because otherwise you have these bad cycles where the care is so expensive that the patients that do come in, barely afford it, get fewer and fewer patients. And when someone does come in, they might ask for more money because they have to make up for the fact that no one's, using that department of the hospital.
Right. I am just in awe of what you guys have started. I really am. I'm truly impressed. I got two questions I'm asking, then we're going to wrap up. From each of you, what's the biggest maybe misconception or perhaps that translates into a lesson that you've learned being able-bodied people that work with and whose work focuses on amputees? What have you learned from amputees? And you can each take a turn and share. And we'll start with you, Miss Anna.
In speaking to amputees since I joined this organization, what is really stunning to me is just the lifetime of equipment, care, and sometimes even ongoing operations that are needed throughout the life of an amputee. It's honestly something I didn't know about. And I came to not knowing much at all about the amputee world. And in learning more, we were just speaking to one of our advisors earlier, and she was telling us she was going to have an operation. And it's something that I just didn't really know about. And I feel like I'm constantly learning on the job.
Yeah.
Every single day I learn something new, whether it's in the warehouse or in the office. But I think it's the lifetime of treatments and access to these devices that are needed, which translates directly into the people outside of the US that need just the same. If not more in some cases, because
because there's no social system to support
exactly.
you.
So
Mija, what about you? What have you learned?
So a couple of things that I'll touch on, and the first is just what an incredibly strong sense of community there is with amputees, and that's, we've seen this through Amputee Coalition, through all the amputee support groups, many of which we've done, we've spoken at to let everybody know that we're a resource to them. And it's just really incredible to have a glimpse of that, and just to see how strong, capable everybody is. And the second thing that I've noticed getting into this field now is the lack of representation of amputees across like entire society, media, everything. Now that I see more amputees, just because I'm in the field now, I also don't see a lot of representation in advertisements, commercials, TVs, movies, films. And anytime I do, like I just saw an advertisement on a wall the other day walking through the city, and they're featuring an amputee. I was like, this is amazing. Why isn't there more of this?
Right. Yep. Well, yeah, as an actor, I'm so happy. I did 2 national commercials last year. I've been doing going up for some films. I ain't got one of them movies yet. I got to get me a movie soon. It's about representation and being seen. And like I said earlier, I didn't see amputees, but when I became an amputee, talking about a radical change. But Henry, being that you've been in this the longest, huh?
Can I ask, have you found that that's changing, that there are more opportunities for an actor like yourself or for individuals?
They're coming. There are a few of us out here that are, making some strides. Rachel Handler is a wonderful actress. It's about convincing casting, that, hey, this is an option, and that a character doesn't have to be written as an amputee. Right now, they're pitching for some cop shows. There's nothing to do with me being an amputee. But now I, as an artist, can't wait for the opportunity to engage this role as an amputee, because things are different now for me. I've been complaining a little bit lately about the arduousness of sometimes being an amputee and running a construction company. My boy and I were working on the truck the other day, and I had the other men out there working at some point, and they said, oh, Mr. Q, hold on, we get that. You're getting a little old for this stuff. And I was working a little bit more. And then my son says, Dad, maybe you are getting a little old. And I says, damn it, I guess maybe you're right. I says, guys, it's this goddamn one leg. I don't move as fast as I used to. I says, but life's about adapting. Amen. That life's about adapting. So that's what I have learned, how to adapt. And I'm learning on finding contentment in that opportunity to adapt. But Henry, please.
No, I was going to say, you bring me to what I was going to answer in your question of what I've learned. And I think the main thing I've learned is the incredible adaptability of the amputees and members of the limb loss, limb difference community I've met. It's something that I've actually thought about a lot during the pandemic of these last few years, as the organization has been, challenged in many ways in doing just our core operation, of shipping around the world through lockdowns and changing regulations, the inability to get into our offices or our warehouse, and having to adapt to think about different ways of doing things when there isn't an example to turn to.
Right. You're the example. Yeah, you're the example.
You're forging ahead. You're trying to find the way to do it. And at the same time, I'm seeing people that we're helping who are working, doing manual labor in fields with, using their shoulder and their neck because they don't have arms, or kids playing 5 sports, pushing the limits of what any 10-year-old would do. And even in some of the places we work, at the very early on we were working, we saw an amputee who he was much older, had been walking on a prosthesis that he made himself at home.
I've seen that too. Yes.
Bamboo, parts of artillery. He's been walking on it for 30 years. And, and the perseverance, it's just, it's really something that struck me and that I've learned from throughout the process of building this organization, how to be flexible and adaptable.
I tell you what, when you tell a story like that one, man, if that doesn't make the average person really reconsider the things in life that they complain about. You need some work on the inside. I mean, talk about courage. Talk about chutzpah to say, you know, I got to do this thing, and because ain't nobody here to help me, and I got a family I got to take care of. So I mean, you know, I'm looking forward to doing whatever I can to help you guys and to be a benefit to your efforts. I think it's a wonderful thing. Anna, what can my audience do to help you guys tomorrow? What can they do? And where should, now I did put the link to the website in this discussion, and it'll be on all the stuff that goes around. We've gone so far over time, but I mean, you guys are amazing, man. Okay. And I'm going to wrap it up. Anna, tell my audience what they can do to help.
Absolutely. The most important thing for us is having a constant supply of this donated equipment. So spreading the word amongst the amputee community, whether that's to individuals, whether that's to your individual prosthetists and orthotists, and really just getting our message out. Anyone who would be interested in hearing about us, visit our website, learn more, and donate your equipment. Even if you don't think you have anything right now, hold on to our website and donate in a couple of years when you might be ready, or when you come across an individual who might have equipment of this kind. So yeah.
What'd
you say, Henry?
I was going to say, I want to make sure that everyone knows that we also cover the cost of shipping for the donation. So when you go to our website, you can just make a shipping label. It's prepaid there. Put the equipment in a box and put the label on it, and bring it to a UPS store or arrange a pickup, and it'll be on its way to us, and then from us, on its way to help someone else. So we make it as easy as possible for people. Whether you're sending it from home or organizing, a limb drive with a group that you work with, or a support group or a local team. We love to do everything we can with different community groups across the U.S. So
and Mike,
us, and we'll see what we can do to work.
That's what I was going to ask you. Okay, so I'm going to be talking around, and I've already started planting some seeds. If we are coordinating let's say, for example, a limb drive, that's something a bit more extensive. Now, for you individuals out there that just want to, do it, go to the website, download the shipping information, package it up, and get it off the road. But now, if you want to do something a bit more grandiose and maybe have a limb drive in your community, or, I and some of my team, we've been thinking about maybe having a race or a 5K or something like that. We're going to raise some money and get some things done here. Anything you can do, man, to generate some interest and let the world know about what PENTA is doing, I encourage you guys to do it, because this is truly talking about wanting to help your fellow man. Amen. Talking about extending yourself, taking what they're going to throw away, knowing that someone, a little child, a man with a family, a mother, you're going to change their life. You're going to make possible what they didn't know was possible. To be able to walk in a gait, all right? To be able to have that accessibility, mobility, independence, and to live life. You really are giving someone an opportunity of living a life. And I just think that's amazing. That's amazing. So I've already said to you guys, you're going to be able to count on me. I just want to thank you guys again for the time. We went way over. Yes,
so I follow up on your point. Donations. When we speak to the amputee community, we are always asking for donations of limbs. If you can, want to be support the organization in other ways, any contribution to support our work, the work that we're doing, goes so far.
And you guys are a nonprofit.
We are fully nonprofit. Right. You can count a donation, financial contribution for a tax deduction, and we'll give you the receipt for that. Anything you can do to support it, even covering the cost of the prepaid label if you want, is one way that people like to do it, or donate more. All of it's going towards this effort to help people regain, not just physical mobility, but as we've spoken about, social and economic mobility as well.
Right. You know, see, Mr. Q, if you get to know me anytime, Mr. Q loves making sure that spirit is intact. Amen. So for me, everything come down to the spirit, man. So you're going to get rewarded for these efforts. Okay.
Thank you. You got the spirit.
We
appreciate you bringing us on here to help us share what we're doing.
Yeah.
Amen. Amen, brother. Amen. Well, I'm going to be talking back to you guys next time. Again, thank you each for joining me. And I'm going to close you out. And I'm going to talk to y'all again real soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Have a
Mr.
good
Q.
night.
Amen. Amen. Have a good night, sister. All right. Guys, I mean, wow. You know, every once in a while you come across people or you come across and you say, man, these people really doing something. They ain't just talking no bullshit, man. They changing lives. And you gonna sit around on your bed or in your room and think that you can't do nothing? So what I want each one of y'all to do is go into your closet, make an appointment with your prosthetist, and help this PENTA organization. Now, what we're going to start doing is we're developing some type of activity, some type of effort to where I want to show PENTA how much I like what they're doing. And I'm going to be calling on y'all to join in and help in this effort. All right. So it's National Limb Loss Awareness Month, guys. Are you aware that there are people around the world that don't have nearly half as much as what you have, and that are walking around like he said, man, the guy that walked around on a bamboo leg for all those years, I'd like to meet that man, just shake his hand, man. You know, because he's a bad mother, man. That's bad, man. That's pretty damn cool. All right. So next week is our final week of limb loss celebration month or awareness month. See, I say celebrate because I ain't got nothing to be sad about. So I'm going to be wearing my orange next Wednesday show. I've said I was going to do it this week, but I ain't wash it. So I'm going to wash it this week. And I'm going to wear it next Wednesday. And I encourage my viewers to wear some orange. If you have any questions about tonight's program, you know that you can write us, amputee@gmail.com, or you can write me directly. He is Mr. Q @gmail.com. If you want to talk to PENTA, go visit their website. I'm going to put it in the description notes, and it's also already in the chat room. So we're going to make sure that we get them some attention, guys. So that's our show. I went so far over, guys. I just want to talk to them people some more, man. I want to learn every aspect of what they're doing. But as I learn it, I'm going to bring it back to you because, guys, we're going to do something real big with PENTA. All right. So I will see you next Wednesday. Next Wednesday, guys. Oh, I forgot. Oh, we got a very special guest. We got a celebrity guest coming on through. One of my business associates. I'm going to give y'all a hint. MTV. That's all I'm going to say. All right. MTV. All right. Me and this fella doing some business together. Mighty lucrative business too, I might add. I don't know how much of that we're going to get into, but we're going to meet a man who was at the pinnacle of a career in entertainment. And as show business is, it has its dips and its dives. And well, on part of his dive, he lost his leg. And it's about fortitude. Yes. Next week, we're going to be talking about fortitude and about what encourages us to go on. As you guys know, with me, it's my little boy and my wife, right? I ain't got no time to be feeling sorry for myself. I got a family I got to take care of. With this man, it's those things, but it's also enhanced by another element that I think you love, the element of music. Amen. All right. Okay. So next week, I got a very special guest for you. We're going to start advertising this one a little early because we're really excited to have this gentleman on our show. All right. So I will see you next week. I don't know what happened to Chef T, y'all. I talked to her earlier. And she even had 5 questions she had to ask our guest. But I hope I squeezed them in for her. And we'll see you next week, guys. All right. Hey, Google, play my country music.
Okay, your YouTube music playlist called Country. Here you go.
And turn volume. Hey, Google, Turn that volume on up to 60.
Sorry, the max volume is only 10. So, what level do you want to set it to?
Set that volume to 65%. There we go, guys. We'll see you next week. Shut it on down.